Hi, I'm Michael Perry from Sims Investment, and for today's Teaching Tuesday topic, I wanted to share a concept from a book that I've really enjoyed and relate it back to retirement planning. So if you're somebody that's watching and you've ever felt like, hey, no matter how much financial progress you make, it still isn't enough, there is actually a term for that, and it's called the gap in the gain. So I just finished a great book recently called The Gap in the Gain, and in that book, Dr. Benjamin Hardy and author Dan Sullivan talk about two different ways that people measure their progress. The first way that people measure their progress is by comparing themselves to where they want to be, and that's called the gap. So if you're somebody that's watching and you've ever thought to yourself, hey, I wish I had more saved, I wish that I was further along in my financial progress, I wish I had started earlier, you're really living in what these authors refer to as the gap when you're measuring your progress. Now, the other way that you can do that is by measuring the gain. So instead of comparing yourself where you want to be, you're going to look backwards and look at how far you've come financially. So that might say, hey, I've started a consistent savings plan, I've made some progress, I'm in a better spot than I was last year or 5 years ago, and you're really looking at just how much you've gained in that amount of time. And I think that really relates to retirement planning because most people live in the gap. They might have a retirement number that's $1 million, $2 million, for some people even more than that. And it takes a long time to get to some of those numbers. And people can spend a lot of time in the gap just saying, hey, that's a goal that might take 30 years or longer to get to for most people. And here's kind of the problem with that is when you're living in the gap, there's can be a lot of stress, a lot of discouragement, because you see just how far away that goal is, that you're not really taking any time to kind of celebrate some of the gains and progress that you've made. And when you shift your mindset and you think to measure kind of backwards from where you want to go or from where you've been, there's a real sense of relief, and I think progress that makes people more consistent when they measure themselves in the gain. So here's one really simple way that you can apply this concept. At least once a year, sitting down, reviewing your financial progress. If you work with a financial planner, having your annual progress meeting and seeing, just the gains that you've made throughout the year. So maybe you've increased your savings percentage. Maybe you've paid down some debts like your mortgage, your car balance, and you've increased your net worth. When you focus on the gain and you spend more time living in that mindset, you're going to be a lot more satisfied. It's going to make the journey to building wealth a lot more rewarding and fulfilling. It's also going to make you a lot more consistent. So I hope that you found today's Teaching Tuesday video helpful. I would highly recommend checking out a copy of this book from your library, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Take care.